Everyone joining, welcome to the waiting room for the webinar. We'll get started here in a few minutes as we've got folks still joining. Thanks. Welcome everyone as you're joining here. For those of you who are just signing on, we'll get started at probably a minute after the hour. And just to note, this session will be recorded. So if you want to share it with customers, partners, or coworkers, we'll be sending out a recording link afterwards. For everyone who's joining, I know it's top of the hour, but we've still got folks coming into the session, so we'll give them a couple minutes and get started here soon. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. We've still got some folks joining, but I want to be as close to on time as we can. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Steve Boals, and I oversee strategy and evangelism for Ephesoft. Today, we'll share some key information about accounts payable and the invoice processing problem. It's one of the key processes that can be targeted for massive improvement, and we provide solutions around it. So I'll share some key performance indicators and how they can be used to evaluate your current processes and how you can also use them to set focus for improvement within your departments from an AP perspective. Before we get started, quick infomercial. If you aren't familiar with Ephesoft, we're a leader in the intelligent document processing space. Been around since 2010 and provide document automation solutions for all different types of document-centric workflows, whether it's specific solutions like tax forms, invoices, or broad solutions like customer onboarding or digital mail rooms, we apply these best-in-class solutions to maximize productivity and drive context within organizations. Really quickly, just a quick agenda for the webinar. We'll talk about the AP problem. We'll look at some metrics that you can use to collect to kind of see where you stand. We'll talk about what's average. What do we see in our customer AP departments? A little bit about the old way and the new way and kind of the current situation from a digital transformation perspective. And then we'll talk about AI as a catalyst for best-in-class accounting departments. We'll talk about what actually is best in class from a metric perspective. Then we'll talk a little bit about the solution. So now for the topic at hand. So how does your AP department rank among its peers? If my accounting department is working, nothing's broken, and we apparently have no problems, isn't average just good enough? I mean, hey, if I'm average, better than some, worse than others, and cruising along, that's okay. And a lot of departments do that, and they're fine with that. But things have changed over the past 15 or so months. Organizations have had time to really focus on their weaknesses and hone their digital games. Working remote and being forced to move to fully digital workflows has been an awakening for some adept companies that have turned their digital game into market leverage. That is for best-in-class organizations. So we at Ephesoft have the privilege of having a broad view of our AP customers and partners and seeing firsthand the power of freeing up employees to higher level tasks and driving new initiatives for the business and the organization as a whole. We'll share some of those insights today. Average is pervasive. Some of the mathematicians in the audience are probably laughing. Of course it is, it's average, right? In today's day and age, with the rise of AI and other technologies, sometimes you got to scratch your head and say, why is there such a disparity when you look at AP organizations across the board? Before we get to the numbers, let's look at some of the statistics. AP is a poster child for automation, and there is true efficiency opportunity. And in 2020, as this Ardent Partners statistics map shows, we still have manual processing, hand keying of data, and high time spent on exceptions processing. Why are we focusing on the invoice processing problem? If you look at the entire AP world, why is it a target? Well, for one, metrics for judging your organization are there and very tangible. And it's the area with the lowest hanging fruit that can easily and readily be automated with technologies that exist today. Companies like ours build amazing software for automation and can provide almost immediate gains in this key area. So let's look at some key metrics. So the first one is cost, right? This is just a function of the time it takes from start to finish and what you pay your AP staff. Also, inefficient organizations can incur fines for late payments, staff time on lost invoices, and exceptions and missed opportunities for savings. Number two, the time to process. From the point of receipt, how long does it take you to identify, enter data, approve invoices, and get them paid? Number three, what is your touchless processing rate or percentage? How many of your vendor invoice documents go from start to finish with no human intervention? And then finally, what's your exception rate? Invoices with problems or issues, errors, improperly keyed or entered data, and so on and so forth. What defines average in this slice of the AP world? So here's our first glimpse at the numbers that define average, kind of our baseline. So each core metric is assigned a number and tied to an individual step within the expanded invoice processing time and cost breakdown. So numbers aside, I also think this is a very telling graphic. A blow up of the tasks and time required to process an invoice, manual data entry, and invoice validation take up almost 80% of the typical invoice processor's time and have the highest costs associated with them. But today, these areas where technology can save save you the most money, you can have the greatest impact, and where AI and automation solutions are really focused. So how do we get ahead of the pack and leave average behind? What defines a best-in-class invoice process for AP? And where can we focus to rise above our peers? So the first question that comes to my mind is, why are AP departments having difficulty and why are averages on the KPIs so low? This is 2021, right? The age of AI and automation. Can I just get a bot to do it? The truth of the matter is that the majority of businesses still process invoices the same way they did at the turn of the century. The PDFs replaced paper for the most part, and the hard ledger or book has been replaced by the digital ledger or ERP. The majority of companies still use these 100-year-old methods. Why is that? Accounting departments have been under some serious gravity, or what I like to call the ERP ball and chain. These on-premise behemoths, which most of you are familiar with, have really weighed down accounting departments with high cost, difficulty of integration, and the heavy burden of existing applications and custom work. The cost to get a custom report were ridiculous, let alone the integration of an invoice or AP automation tool. But that's changed with the advent of pervasive cloud ERPs, integration tools or iPaaS tools, and the rise of cloud AP automation augmented with AI. Those technical advances and reasonable solutions can help CFOs and AP management take a nimble approach to not just AP, but all their processes. So we know the problem. We've ID'd our focus area and KPIs for measurement. How do we choose the right technology to move forward? You can go numb with all the acronyms and market noise out there on cutting edge technologies and how they can take you to the promised land. Here's a quick peek at all the hottest technical trends in accounting from a technology perspective: AI, RPA, workflow. How do we wade through all the fluff to find our path to that best-in-class promised land? We stay focused on our topic and we look to drive efficiency and improvement with our invoice processing slice of the pie. AI is really our best bet when we look here. So CFOs know this, and the predictive poll from 2019 shows that AI in accounting is definitely on the roadmap as a must implement technology. Over 49% of CFOs surveyed in this Gartner poll predicted that AI would be a key focus area beyond any other technology. It would have the most adoption as time went on. I love to pull out these studies. I thought this was pretty interesting. McKinsey did a deep study on the source to pay process and points out that the invoice to pay area has the highest potential for complete automation. How will we do that? With AI. So that's great, right? We know that AI-based solutions can help, but is AI really a reality for all organizations? Or is it just reserved for those large organizations with access to data and unlimited budgets? The technical landscape has really changed, and solutions for specific business problems like AP invoice processing are now readily available and affordable for all types of organizations. But before we move forward, is AI absolute? Will I miss out if I don't implement it? What are some suggestions to avoid pitfalls on my road to best in class? Before we get started, I do this consistently. I like to go what I call full moto, master of the obvious, and do a level set to make sure that we're all on the same page. This is dictionary.com's definition of AI: the capability of a machine to imitate human behavior. Imitate is subjective though, right? That could be basic data entry off an invoice. We could take it a next step and assign a GL code to line items based on learned behavior, or we could go full throttle and make strategic business decisions and drive business direction based on broad data and documentation. What does it mean to you? And more importantly, What does it mean when your software vendors talk about it? I put this slide in here as a flag for companies looking for AI to solve these types of problems. AI can be a simple set of rules or a cloud-based neural network that does complex predictions. Fortunately for you, the magic happens behind the scenes technically, and it's just a means to the end business result you're looking for. I point this out because the best solutions use a blended approach to the AP problem. AI, either basic or advanced where it's necessary, combined with rule-based engines for simple tasks. AI is finally hitting the mainstream, and organizations are seeing broad benefits of laser-focused solutions to solve specific problems. This chart from Deloitte sums it up. Making complex processes more efficient leads the pack when it comes to objectives for AI projects and their true outcomes. Accounting processes are ripe for improvement, and putting the invoice flow on autopilot can be a key to freeing up staff and reaching max efficiency. So I guess the question is, where do you get started? If you want to make that move from average to best in class, what are the key components to a strategy to become best in class? So here's my 2 cents on what I see in prospects and customers. In both those that have legacy AP solutions and those that are looking for new solutions, you can always apply the 80-20 rule to any software that you find out in the market. Every piece of software can do easy, the low-hanging fruit. Sure, there's value in that. If a machine can do it, a machine should. But the top tier value in any process automation is that hard 20% that takes up 80% of your staff time. So a quick 4 rule for AI project success: find those that can help with the hard angle of your problems. Pick a known pain point that's small and manageable, in this case, the AP invoice process. Choose a high visibility, high impact issue that can provide immense value, which we showed, and I'll show you here in a minute. And always insist on a trial or a live demonstration. The proof is really in the pudding. So now for the results and where the right automation solution can take you. First, let's revisit average, right? Hopefully for the last time. So if you look at the cost to process an invoice, time, straight through processing percentage, and invoice exception rate for average, and then we switch to best in class, you can see that the cost to process an invoice is about 1/5. So if we look at these metrics and see the results of technology automation on the invoice processing problem, they're quite dramatic. Best in class organizations see a 5 to 7x decrease in the cost and time to process their invoices, and a 3x improvement in straight through processing. These results aren't rare, they're the norm when implementing an intelligent AP solution. And you can read about them in the case studies that we have on our site. So, I can talk all I want, you can nod your head, but what I like to do is actually show you the results from one of our customers, Honda Logistics. So these folks took in our solution and drove some amazing efficiencies and really freed up their folks. Now they use 2 staff members to process 135,000 invoices a year. They went from 90 days to 2 days. They improved their reporting capability, and they elevated much of their AP staff and management to higher level tasks, which enabled them to be a profit center. They actually came up with some really unique ways to negotiate with vendors and create value within their AP process. So best in class really isn't a dream. You've seen the numbers, you've seen the statistics, you've seen the proof. It is achievable, and we can be the start of a true transformation for your department and then your organization as a whole. So if you'd like to get started down that path with AI and move to best in class or enhance an existing legacy process, You can head over to our site and get some information. Don't take our word for it. You can actually test it out yourself. If you go to Ephesoft or scan this QR code, you can sign up for a trial and almost immediately begin processing invoices today. If you have any questions or want a deeper review, you can also contact us. So now I'll go to questions and see if we have any Q&A. You can use the Q&A interface. So the first question that came up is, what type of accuracies do you see with AI? Typical AP solutions start at about 80% if you look at the market in a broad sense. With trained AP automation solutions, you can get upwards of 95, 97, 98% over time. There are some vendors in the market that claim they get 100% accuracy. That's just false, and you really shouldn't have those expectations going in. Invoices are difficult. Sometimes you get low quality ones, so there's always those type of variables that you have to deal with and work with. Okay. What products provide this AP functionality that Ephesoft has? We have two products, Transact and Semantic. Transact is kind of our flagship product, on-prem or in the cloud. It does not only invoices, but it can do all types of other documents as well. So if you have a need for that, you can bring that into your organization and really automate just about any doc process. Semantic is our next gen application. It lives in the cloud, integrates with all different types of ERPs and systems. So if you need a cloud-based solution and true AI, you can use Semantic. Other questions? Where can I get a free trial? It's right here on the screen. You can either scan the code or you can go to ephesoft.com/get-trial. Other questions? All right, if you want to talk more about solutions, you can go to the site. And if you want a copy of this presentation, please inquire at ephesoft.com. Oh, it looks like we got one more question. Does Semantic interface with SAP? Bill, we actually have an SAP integration through our workflow tool. And we also have the capability to provide a CSV or generic output that can be consumed and brought into the SAP system. All right. Further questions? We're just about on time here. Please go to ephesoft.com and thank you for your time today.